the Diabolical podcast, has emerged from the asshole of an organism whose sole function is to excrete these episodes and is coated in this patina of spoilers. But take a deep cleansing breath and set that notion aside, because it must stand the test of time. And, Peril Pals, the time is now. This is Diabolical, the show where four long-suffering friends dissect film's most dastardly schemes, then compete to improve them. I'm your host, Craig, aka Super Dude, and this week's movie is Tony Gilroy's 2007 directorial debut, Michael Clayton. So, Peril Pals, cash out of your poker game, grab yourself an insanely large bushel of French loaves, and let's get diabolical. Welcome to episode 105, or 105 if you prefer. As host for this week, I'm the chief litigator in the class action lawsuit that's been filed against the panel of peril, the other members of which will compete against me at the close of the show in a bid to bury all of our dirty little secrets and anyone who stands in our way, as we each try to come up with the best alternative plan for the movie villain of the week before we vote to name this week's most diabolical. As ever, I'm joined by three fixers. Please introduce yourselves and tell me, what is the most devastating example of a character being murdered to cover up a secret that you've ever encountered in fiction? And I'd like to start with Adam.
Buenas noches, everybody. This is Adam. It's a very good question. It's a question so good, in fact. I racked my brains all week. I Googled loads of different things trying to give me inspiration and to go, aha. And the only thing I could think of, the only success I had in my own brain, and I couldn't find anything to give me inspiration online, was from a film we've already covered, Die Hard 2, where Telford gets his throat cut by Major Grant.
Yeah, fucking hell.
That was the one that stuck out straight in my mind back. I was thinking, I'm sure there's worse, much, much worse than that.
No, that's a great one, because he's such like an unassuming, nice little private, isn't he?
Yeah, and he has a little chat with McLean earlier on going, oh, I was replaced, you know, and I wish I could go to Bermuda with you guys. Yeah, so do we.
He's the mercenary ex-soldier equivalent of Dante from Clerks, in that he wasn't meant to be working that day.
Yeah.
Am I right? Is that Dante or is that the other guy? I don't know.
I can't remember.
Who even knows what he's fucking called? The other guy from Clerks. Okay, well, next I'd like to hear from Gaz.
Hey, douchebags! Mein Name ist Gaz. Und mein favorite devastating example of character being murdered in movie. Okay, I'm going to change from that voice. I tried to work out how to say this without spoiling the entire plot of the film, so I'm simply just going to say what film it is. A film by Bong Joon-ho called Mother, which is centered around a murder. I'm not going to say any more in case anybody wants to watch it. It's well worth a watch.
Not to be mistaken for the film Mother with Jennifer Lawrence. That's a very different film.
Oh yes, very. They're shown. Very different.
Okay, and penultimately, I'd like to hear from Ben.
Who, me? Yes, me. Hi, Ben here. And the most devastating example I could think of, a couple sprung to mind immediately, actually. It was a bit of a toss-up, so I went for Hot Fuzz, where the journalist played by Adam Buxton gets very brutally murdered.
Very brutally.
Just as he's about to spill some secrets.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
I remember jumping out my seat when that happened because I just did not expect the manner of the death.
Yeah, it's hard not to picture it when you're reminded of it. Poor old Buckles. Well, as for me, I thought you'd pick maybe one of mine, so I had some backups, but I think the main one I'm going to go for, and it could have been Dickie Greenleaf, but instead I'm going to go for Jack Davenport's character in The Talented Mr. Ripley, when he uncovers Tom's secret, Matt Damon's character's secret. Because, obviously, his murder of Dickie is shocking, but I think it's the fact that he very clearly is in love with Jack Davenport's character and still has to kill him to keep his secret. It's a pretty devastating one. I've just remembered, but haven't written into the script, that I asked you guys another question.
Yes, I prepared the answer.
This was a hard one for me.
Oh, you little swat.
Yeah, well, you know.
Super Dude, I prepared the answer for you. That's your request.
And Super Dude, if you look to your left, you also find a red polished apple.
How did it get there? Ask no questions. I'll tell no lies.
I was hoping this question would be more of a bit of fun for you. I'm sorry if anyone struggled with this one, but what is your favourite use of French bread in cinema, music, literature, or anything else? And this time I'd like to hear from Gaz, first of all, since he struggled with it.
Hi, douchebags! Yes, here. Okay, so I tried Googling, I tried racking my brain, which is the method that I used in the end. And the one that I came up with was The Irishman, Martin Scorsese's epic Netflix film. When I think it's when they're in prison and they're tearing the bread up at the table and dipping it in wine and eating it.
Yeah.
I thought that makes it look nice. I'd quite like to try that, but I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't actually dip bread in wine.
You never done that?
Nah.
Which part makes it look nice? The prison.
Yeah. The luxurious surroundings.
Scorsese loves food. You get food in a lot of his movies, don't you? And I think there's another French bread example that could have been in either category here. I wonder if anyone will come up with it. So anyway, let's hear next from Adam.
Well, my French bread is not seen on film, but is communicated as a little story. And it's from Ghostbusters 2, where Janine says she puts baby Oscar down, gave him French bread pizza, and he just passed out.
Yeah, that was great. Ben, what do you got?
My favourite use is from Curb Your Enthusiasm season 8, where Larry David beats a mugger who's mugging Ricky Gervais. Beats him up with it, sends him off the train.
I don't remember that.
Oh, it's amazing. And then as he's getting off the train, Larry David just turns, because he's had an argument with Ricky Gervais previously. They've fallen out. And he just turns and he goes, "You were right about the bread, Sivington. It is hard." And he steps off the train. Like this hero moment. It's brilliant.
I thought someone might mention The Departed. I think it's Leonardo DiCaprio has a baguette when he gets killed.
No, it's Matt Damon at the end.
Matt Damon
He's coming
who's
into
got
a
the
shop and Mark Wahlberg's there and he's like, all right. And he just shoots him.
That's right. Holding the grocery bag,
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say in Ratatouille, which is my favourite Pixar movie, where Ginny Garofalo's character is talking about the sound of bread being the mark of quality, and then you hear it as she snaps the bread. I think that's true. No chef, but I know what I like, and I like crusty bread. Now, Michael Clayton features a stellar supporting cast comprising instantly recognisable stars like Oscar-winning villain Tilda Swinton, alongside a number of faces you recognise from something, like the guy from True Blood and the head of Cabletown from 30 Rock. So, let's play a little game of Real and Contest. Real and Contest, which sounds a bit like Realm Conquest. I'll tell you where you've seen 3 of the Michael Clayton players before, and you just have to tell me which one I made up, and which ones were probably made up by IMDb and are probably also not true, but I didn't make them up. So, 1. Michael Clayton's late Mercedes was played by one of the cars from The Devil Wears Prada. Number 2. One of the horses Michael stares at starred alongside Walter Matthau in 1978's Casey's Shadow. Or number 3. One of the baguettes carried by Tom Wilkinson's character had a scene with Matt Damon in 2006's The Departed. Which one of those did I make up? Which one of those did I take from IMDb?
Well, given that we've already mentioned The Departed,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say that it got mentioned because you had your made-up answer in mind. So I'm going to say number 3.
You think he's that devious? You think Super Dude is planting seeds that far ahead?
I do.
He likes to chuck in a half truth or two as well, doesn't he?
Could it be the horse? How long does a horse live?
Ooh.
Tell me. And tell me true.
I don't know, but I can tell you that a parrot can live like 90 years or so. That helps.
Turtles can live hundreds of years.
Right. But a mayfly is only a day. So a horse is probably somewhere in between that.
Somewhere in between a parrot and a mayfly.
A parrot's life can be extended when its owner dies. The parrot consumes the soul.
That's famously true.
You take the brain and lungs of the parrot and you put it in a robot body, and then they have it enforce the law.
I am the law.
Jungle law.
I think the horse is bullshit. It can't have lived that long, surely. 1978, you say? Nah.
So you think, I don't want to give you too much help here, but you think it's more likely that a baguette lived a year?
Yeah, because they paint those. They have food artists.
Oh, you think it's a prop baguette? Yeah, I suppose
Yeah.
it could be.
I reckon.
Yeah, no, it is the third one that I made. I thought you'd get it right away.
Didn't even let Adam have a guess.
I just said I reckon it was, yeah.
You reckon it was the horse, like me?
No.
Time now to delve into this week's film, Michael Clayton. Being no stranger to conspiracy and intrigue, Bourne series screenwriter Tony Gilroy was perfectly primed to bring us this taut thriller, starring George Clooney in the title role as a fixer for a law firm. Michael Clayton is called in to handle a colleague, Arthur Edens, played with searing compassion by the late great Tom Wilkinson, whose increasingly erratic behaviour sparks concerns that his involvement in a class-action lawsuit threatens to expose the insidious malpractice of their client, U-North, a multinational conglomerate responsible for knowingly producing a carcinogenic weed killer, responsible for hundreds of deaths. As compensation for his role in fixing this issue, Michael approaches his boss, played by producer and legend Sidney Pollack, for a loan to cover a bad investment he made with his black sheep brother Timmy, terms to which his boss tacitly agrees, but later reneges on, asking Michael to sign a non-disclosure agreement regarding his knowledge of the case. As Clayton learns the shocking truth behind his old friend's actions and his arguably inappropriate relationship with one of the plaintiffs in the case, he's also faced with some hard home truths about his own unhealthy relationships with his personal and professional lives, where his workaholic nature is at war with his clear desire for a deeper connection with his family, a struggle brought into focus for him as he comes to understand Arthur's motivations, exemplified by a call from Michael's son, during which Arthur is inspired to hear about the boy's favourite book, a tale of fate and treachery, something young Henry had wanted to share with his uninterested father. From there, the lives of all the players involved in the case begin to spiral as they play a game of cat and mouse, building to one of the most satisfying conclusions in all of cinema. Citing Alan J. Pakula's 70s paranoia thrillers Clute and The Parallax View as inspiration, with a sparse, empty visual style inspired by Mike Nichols' Catch-22, future Star Wars savior Tony Gilroy presents a confident and layered take on the genre, with the camera tightly focused on career best performances from its Oscar-nominated / winning stars in a hugely impressive first feature that has earned the film a devout fan following. But what did the panel make of it? And first, I'd like to hear from Gareth.
Hi, douchebags! Guess here with Michael Clayton opinion. This was a first-time watch for me, having...
That's a rarity, isn't it?
Yeah, having seen kind of the online following for the film become more vocal over the last few years on Twitter. And to be honest, I didn't really know what it was. I'd had it confused with Michael Collins' the Liam Neeson film.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do.
Yeah. So when I came to it, and it was a paranoid, I guess, political thriller in sort of the 70s mould, which is something that I've gotten into recently with Parallax View, as mentioned, and 3 Days the Condor, directed by Michael Clayton star Sidney Pollack. So this was right up my street in any case. I think straight from the off, with kind of your discordant shots of mail cart wheels turning and empty corridors with Tom Wilkinson's detached from reality voiceover, you know that you're watching something stimulating at the very least, and quite exciting as it develops through its drama. Really reminds you how great George Clooney is. He's kind of, as IP has become the star rather than movie stars become the star, being the star rather, he's kind of dropped off a bit. I hope he comes back, because I'd forgotten just how great he is.
Yeah, amazing that a star with his kind of, before he walks in the room, his reputation precedes him for playing like a charming lead, like a Danny Ocean type of character, can play a guy like this who is really not like that at all. Kind of comes into focus when he's playing poker. You know, you think, this is very not Danny Ocean.
No, he's a high-flying loser, essentially, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, really great performance from Clayton. Tom Wilkinson is fantastic, highly plausible and well written character. Arthur off his meds, he's coming to mental health issues. The plot, obviously, is, I'm sure this kind of thing goes on every week in America. Highly plausible again, realistically laid out and played out. Yeah, a really satisfying film. I didn't really make any notes during it because I was too engrossed in the drama. But yeah, it's quite an unshowy film, and I think perhaps if the other members of the panel feel the same way that I do, that might show in kind of a sparse selection of dialogue. But I have got a favourite line of dialogue, but that's in its favour, I think, that nothing stands out per se. It's all on the level.
I think we've all got the same line of dialogue.
Possibly, yeah, possibly.
Possibly. I think if you watch it again, and this would be, for me, the 5th time I've seen it.
Ooh, show off.
Just to say that the more I watch it, the more I think the dialogue is really sparkling. Like some of it I've made reference to in the intro and other places. But yeah, I have tons of favourite lines from this. I think Tony Gilroy is an excellent writer.
Well, that's maybe why none stand out, because they're all very, very good.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was saying, I suppose.
Yeah.
I quite like the symbolism with the horses. I mean, I was trying to kind of work out what he was trying to say with that, and the only conclusion that I could come to was that they're kind of a symbol of a purer America in a way, going back to Wild West times. Obviously, realistically, it was a horrible time too, but kind of the wild horse in itself is a pure symbol. And this is a film about the degradation and the calcification of the American ideals through corporate malfeasance. So yeah, that in itself was highly stimulating to kind of ponder as we work our way back to those horses over the course of the 4 days. So anyway, just to wind this up, because I'm going on quite long. Yeah, really great film. I've bought it on DVD now after streaming it, and I shall be rewatching very soon.
That's a really great observation about the horses, and there's probably a few interpretations, but I think the more on the nose thing is it's just there to remind him of Realm and Conquest. Because there's a picture of a horse on a hill in his son's book.
I like that we have to work a little bit for that. It's not handed to us.
It's not at all, yeah. They wanted to make it more obvious. Apparently, they wanted to have 3 horses in the image so that you really like, oh, right, yeah. But yeah, I'm glad they didn't, because I think they didn't need to hold your hand with that. But yeah, a horse is also obviously representing things like, freedom. It's hard not to think these days about BoJack seeing the wild horse.
Yeah.
And also, because it's Clooney, I thought immediately of Fantastic Mr. Fox when he sees the wolf. And he says, wish him luck, boys. Okay, I am slated to hear next from Ben, please.
Yeah, really good film. I agree with most of what Gaz said there, really. Not my usual bag, so it was a pleasant surprise. On his day, Clooney is a really compelling lead, just like Gaz said. And I think he nails it in this film because he dials back the smarm a little bit.
Yeah.
Which, I think there's a time and a place for smarm as well in some films.
Yeah.
I think it works really well. But this, he's very, very minimalist, I think, with his approach. I think Tilda Swinton, too, is outstanding.
Yeah.
She finds that sweet spot between kind of conniving and like this evil character, but she's also quite vulnerable,
right,
which makes her villain all too believable, which I think really works in the film's favour. And we've spoken about him, but the standout for me is Tom Wilkinson. I just think it's a great performance. I won't go into it too much because I assume it's going to come up in our favourite moments and lines, but his character's extremes had to be believable or the film wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
I looked into to see if he was nominated as well for an Oscar. And I dare say that Javier Bardem, who won for No Country that year, I dare say he wouldn't have been complaining too much if it had been given to Tom Wilkinson.
Yeah.
I mean, both great performances that year.
Yeah. There probably was some murmurings about what constitutes a supporting role in terms of Javier Bardem in No Country. It's really an ensemble, isn't it? You couldn't really call Tommy Lee Jones the lead in that, could you? I don't think he has more screen time than Javier Bardem.
No.
Sure, yeah. And actually, I struggle a little bit with Tilda Swinton being a supporting actress. Maybe screen time, yeah, but it's got to be close because she's such a a focus of the film.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you both enjoyed it. Are we
Wait.
going to make it? Are you not done? Oh, right. You need to.
Oh.
You need to rate it, don't you? Like a hack.
I've got to sum up my thoughts. Otherwise, what are people aren't gonna know my feeling on the film.
They only know it numerically, or they don't know it.
So, overall, I give it, if you're looking for a razor-sharp thriller that explores the filthy underbelly of corporate law, then I'm sure you won't object to this one.
Oh,
And that's out of 5.
Nice. I think that's probably one of your higher reviewed movies, isn't it?
Yeah.
Out of
Oh,
out of
yeah.
5. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Adam, are you gonna make it 4 for 4 fans, or be the voice of dissent?
Sort of.
Mm.
Disclaimer, my enjoyment and my engagement with this movie, as I said to you earlier in the week, it was ruined by shit Wi-Fi. So I had to watch it over 2 nights.
So you're saying it couldn't sustain your interest?
No, but it was born out of frustration because it was like loading and then it'd catch and go. It was like, it was crashing. So then I was
Right.
having to reload the page, find out where I was again and start. So it took me easily 3 hours to watch a 2-hour film over 2 nights. So
Yeah.
I wasn't very happy about that anyway. As Gaz and Ben both said, I think standout performance in this film was Tom Wilkinson. I think he's absolutely fantastic. But as Ben said, he lost out to somebody equally fantastic. I think the film looks really great. There's like a foreboding throughout, isn't it? And
Yeah.
up until the point we find out what's going on, it just feels like something going on, but you're never quite there. And I don't know whether say this is the difficult thing for me to pinpoint because I didn't get to sit and watch it all the way through. Did I lose interest because I was pissed off because I couldn't watch it all the way through? Or did I lose interest because I was waiting too long to find out what was going on? And for me, up here, that's an important thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I need to watch it again. There was a lot to like in it. I found Tilda Swinton great performance, but I thought I didn't look at who she was up against for Best Supporting Actress, but I thought she doesn't have to do an awful lot. Although it was good, I was just thinking, yeah, surely there's.
I think she does, because this is not a straightforward kind of hands rubbed together villain. It's also not like a callous, detached villain. She makes these awful decisions, and you can see that they are really crushing her.
Yeah. You feel the stakes.
I thought the main bits that I really liked is when she was sat across the table and she was delivering it, and then you see prior to that she was in a hotel room, Bratson line.
Yeah.
I really like that. I thought it was really good. The line delivery from most of the actors is fantastic. Yeah, but I desperately need to sit down and watch it start to finish.
Yeah.
And I think that's really clouded my judgment on this. The jury's out on how much I enjoyed it. If that makes any sense at all.
Yeah. And just to clarify, earlier when you said up here, you were pointing to your balls. So
Yeah. That's where I keep them.
You sling them under and around your back on top of your head, like a Davy Crockett hat.
If you know a more safer place to keep them from wolves and brown bears, I'd like to hear it.
I'm hugely impressed with this. If you enjoyed this as well, he made another movie in a similar vein, Beirut with John Hamm, which is also really good.
is that the title? Beirut with John
Beirut.
Hamm. Please tell me that's the
It's
title.
a travelogue.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing your thoughts. I'm pleased that you all enjoyed it. Ben, did you have a favourite moment from Michael Clayton?
Most of my highlights involve Arthur, Tom Wilkinson's fantastic performance. And I think probably my favourite part is, I think you alluded to it in your opening with the baguettes. It's the conversation between George Clooney and Tom Wilkinson in the alley, where George Clooney's character is trying to persuade him to come and do the right thing, or his version of the right thing. And all the way through, you've seen Arthur looking very mentally suspect.
Mm.
But then he switches, turns on his dime, and he absolutely schools George Clooney's character in law.
Yeah, as George Clooney's character said he would, yeah.
Yeah. And he says, you don't want to meet me in the courtroom. And it's
Right.
just this, oh, wow. Where did this come from?
Yeah.
It's a great performance. It's great delivery. And it's also shot beautifully as well.
Yeah, because Marty says, doesn't he, to Michael, we need to find out who in this law firm knows the most about involuntary commitment
Yeah,
to an
he says
asylum.
it's
I can
Arthur.
tell you right away, it's Arthur. Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that scene as well.
Also, props for having so many baguettes for no reason.
Just because they were delicious.
Was there about 12 in that small bag? Something like that?
They didn't leave any room. They put in as much as they could. It was brilliant.
He was, I think, as becomes apparent later, when Michael sees the tubs of cream cheese and the champagne and the 2 glasses, he was planning to share those baguettes with Anna.
Yeah, but still a lot for 2 people. That
6 each.
It is a lot of French bread for 2 people. 1 stick each, probably.
That's a hell of a lot, yeah. Don't think you could eat that in a week.
But, have a couple of French breads in the evening and then a couple more for breakfast. They soon go, don't they?
That toilet be going night and day.
Well, Gareth, did you have a favourite scene or moment from Michael Clayton?
Hi, douchebags! Yes, here mit mein favorite scene.
This was meant to be our prestige episode.
I've torpedoed that, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for the climactic scene with Michael and is she called Karen, Tilda Swinton's character?
Yeah.
Where he gets her to completely admit North's liability in the case. Perhaps this is a case of more for me, but I genuinely believed that he was just going to take the money off her and go away.
Me too.
Yes, I did the first time I saw it.
I was just thinking, holy shit, this is a dark ending.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he said, of course I'm recording you, and pulled his phone out, I was like, of course he is. It's really well done.
I don't think that's an accident. I think you were meant to, as an audience, believe that he's the guy you buy. And he's so convincing in that moment, yeah.
Definitely, yeah, because it's been set up with his debt with his bar that's done no business. He's trying to get rid of the lease, so he's feasibly someone who could be bought.
What I love about that is her choking on her response, you don't want the money?
Yeah.
I saw somebody somewhere once describe it as it's like she's trying to speak in a foreign language. She doesn't know the meaning of the words she's saying. Like, you don't want the money? What?
And then you finish out with the long shot of him riding the taxi, halfway through the end credits?
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
That's great.
Well, since you've mentioned it, I'll have to go before Adam because that's my favourite. Just everything that plays across his face in that taxi scene. So many emotions of, regret. But the final moment, just before it cuts to the credits proper, is his face is saying, I got her though, didn't I? And allows himself a little smile. And I love that.
I like to think what he's really thinking is he just remembers that he's a Milky Way in the fridge when he gets home. He's like,
Yes! Got some fucking Jaffa cakes in my pocket.
Yeah.
All right, Adam, what about your favourite moment or scene from Michael Clayton?
My favourite bit is where the telepathic horses tell him to get out of his car before it blows up. He stops. Hey, what? What? You get out of my car now? Okay, to come and talk to you? Okay. And he just gets up the hill. What do you want? Oh, shit.
How about favourite lines of dialogue? And I know that, Gaz, you said that you didn't make any notes, but you have one. So, keen to hear what it is.
Hi, douchebag! Yes, here mit mein favorite dialogue.
You're ruining my Michael Clayton episode.
He's elevating it, my friend. He is elevating it.
He is.
I've gone for a line of dialogue from my favourite scene, the closing scene of the film, which is a reprise of a line from Arthur where he replies to Don asking, "Who are you?" And he says, "I'm Shiva, the god of death," as he walks away, and the police slowly walk in to arrest everybody. So it's always nice to get a reprise like that in a film, isn't it? And this one's particularly satisfying.
Yeah, he has another kind of reprise of Arthur's dialogue in another scene that I love, and if nobody mentions it, I'll bring that up later. But next, I'd like to hear from Adam with a favourite line, please.
Well, it's an exchange between Arthur and Michael because I didn't have another, like a favourite single individual line. So it's Arthur, he says, "I just need to make my thoughts a little bit more precise. That's my goal." Michael says, "As good as this feels, you know where it goes. And Arthur says, no, 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 you're wrong. What makes us feel good is that I don't know where it goes.
Yeah, in his world, I think that counts for a lot because it's the opposite of what he probably normally feels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great line. Ben, favourite line from Michael Clayton?
So the favourite line I had written down was, I am Shiva, god of death.
Yeah.
But it was Arthur's delivery.
Yeah.
And then the satisfying reprise later made it just really stand out. But I loved when Arthur says it because the look on Clooney's face when he says it is brilliant. The other one is from the opening monologue. Arthur says, I've breached the chrysalis. I've been reborn. It's a great line.
Yeah, the standout bit of that whole monologue for me, which, by the way, was recorded as a full scene with
Oh, really?
him and Clooney in costume on set, but they decided, I think rightly, to keep it back and just have the voiceover.
Yeah, it worked well.
The phrase patina of shit, which I think is great.
Yeah.
So the reprise that I like to highlight, and I think my favourite line, it actually chronologically is a reprise, but it comes in the first scene when he's failing to fix the unfortunate car accident that the guy from True Blood has had. And he tells him, I'm not a miracle worker, I'm a janitor, which you later find out is something that Arthur told him about himself. I think that's great. Now, before we get to the competition round, a plea bargain to you to leave us a written review on Apple Podcasts. Every time we get one, we get a huge spike in new listens, and that helps us find our audience, and our audience find us. You're our meal ticket, Peril Pals. If you leave, it's just me and these idiots in a room, and I'm trying to explain what the hell it is I do around here. In Michael Clayton, ironically opposing counsel Karen Crowder, played with chilling, ruthless, defeated desperation by Tilda Swinton, alerts UNorth CEO Don Jeffries to the situation following Arthur Eden's manic episode and the threat his intimate knowledge of the class action lawsuit poses to UNorth, and the two conspire to have Edens murdered by professional hitmen who stage his death as a suicide. Arthur's death is not in vain, as he's not yet done imparting wisdom and knowledge to Michael who, with the help of his older brother Gene, a New York police detective, gains access to Arthur's apartment and finds a receipt that leads Michael to a copier store where he finds Arthur has ordered 3,000 copies of the confidential case files, giving Michael leverage against UNorth. The hitmen attempt to kill Michael too, planting a bomb on his car, but the sight of some horses on a hill makes Michael recall his son's book, and he exits his car to study the site at the crucial moment the device detonates. With the help of his brother Timmy, Michael stages his own death, leaving his watch and other belongings in the burning wreck. Surprising Karen at a UNorth board meeting in which a settlement for the case is proposed, Michael confronts her with the evidence and talks her into reaching a settlement for his silence before he reveals he's recording their conversation and sharing it with his brother and his colleagues at the NYPD. Ultimately, Karen's plot to cover up wrongdoing at the firm was scuppered by a quirk of fate and her opponent's capacity for empathy and desire for human connection. But how did the panel of peril rate Karen's diabolical scheme? And we'll start mit Gaz.
Hey, douchebags! Gaz here mit mein opinion of evil scheme. Yeah, they're just shitbags, aren't they? If they weren't such massive shitbags, and they just paid people in the first place rather than trying to save a couple of quid by not admitting what they'd done, then they would have taken a hit, obviously, but they wouldn't be, presumably the company's ruined as a result of this, no.
Right.
So yeah, taken down by their own hubris, avarice, other words ending in is.
Elvis?
Cornice.
Sepsis.
Yeah. Pelvis, cornice, sepsis. The whole rainbow of isses. So yeah, pretty shit plan, I'd say. I'm sure people get away with this kind of thing in the real world, but by the same token, I think quite a lot of people probably do get caught as well. I would imagine there's a fairly even split. So they're kind of flipping a coin, aren't they, rather than having a good plan, in my opinion.
Inspired, I believe, by the same real-life story as the narrators in Fight Club of the car firm that calculated the cost of a recall versus the cost of settlements for people who died in their car that they knew was not safe to drive.
Yeah.
What about Ben? How many Brocks?
Hi, Ben here. And I'm in agreement with Gaz. I think it was a terrible plan. But one thing I would disagree with is that I think the size of this scandal would have probably destroyed the company. Because I think you're talking hundreds of people dead.
Yeah.
I'd say hiring professional killers is never really a solution to anything. It's just prolonging the problem. Therefore, I give Karen and you North 2 florets of broccoli. It's a bad idea. It's an awful idea. It's never going to work.
Adam, do you agree, or do you have anything to add or subtract?
I'd just like to say that she made the classic baddie mistake of being desperate and making a knee-jerk decision.
Yeah, not just once either.
Yeah. The second time it is like, oh, fuck, I've got to kill somebody else.
Right.
Oh, and it's like, they were there to observe him, and you can tell they don't want to do it because he's like, okay, you want me to do this? It's like,
Yeah.
it's terrible. Everything they'd gone through that point was leading up to that point, and then she just goes to pieces.
To quote a previous episode, and I think it was Adam that said it, it's murder dominoes.
Murder Dominoes, yeah. Murder Pringles. This is the part of the show where the panel of peril compete for the title of Season 6's Most Diabolical. Up for grabs is 1 point for each vote, which will go towards the series leaderboard. Karen Crowder and Don Jeffries tried to cover up U North's liability by sending 2 hitmen to kill first attorney Arthur Edens and then fixer Michael Clayton. But what would you have done differently, Adam?
Corporate manslaughter isn't a new concept to anyone, but what Don and Karen have in mind is certainly going beyond those boundaries. To deal with both Arthur and Michael, they're going to want to make it look more like an accident rather than a well-timed car bomb or suicide. Something more than your average ex-special forces or assassin is capable of. Thank you for coming at short notice, says Don, as he and Karen sit across the table from a man. We hear you and your team have a particular set of skills. Skills that you have acquired over a long career. Skills. What my colleague Don is trying to say, we have a problem. You solve problems. You fix them. You had time to read about ours? Can you fix it? Asks Karen. The man looks up from the document he's reading and replies, Yes, we can, as he plops his bright yellow hard hat back onto his head.
Phew! I thought it was going to be Jimmy Savile for a minute.
So did I.
I'll need expenses and a steel lunchbox for myself, Scoop, Muck and Dizzy, and Rolly too. Lofty and Wendy will join the crew, says the large dirty man as he gets up to leave. Don and Karen nod in acceptance. The next day, outside Arthur's flat, a grand piano is being winched up by a crane to a penthouse in the building opposite, and the street is cordoned off. Just as the piano is being hoisted into the air, a dishevelled Arthur exits and walks under the slung load. Hey, get out of here, shouts a workman. Don't you know you should never cross a cordon or work under a suspended load? As Arthur looks up to see the piano swinging gently above him, disaster strikes. He quickly turns to run and falls straight down an open manhole cover that had nothing to do with the piano lift, but some idiot, wink wink, left open. He falls 40 feet, or roughly 12 meters, to his death. What a terrible accident. Michael hears of his friend's death and decides to drive somewhere for some reason to investigate. On his route down one of the back roads, he reaches some roadworks. As he waits, Michael sees a small cement mixer mixing cement, or possibly another road surface, a yellow digger digging, and a roller rolling the road surface flat. Just your run-of-the-mill roadworks, and, in a strange way, reassuring. As the paddle turns to go, Michael floors it through the roadworks, only for the steamroller to unexpectedly break through the barrier and forces him to slam on his brakes just in the nick of time. As Michael hyperventilates at the almost being flattened to death, someone knocks at his window. Michael puts his window down. "Oh my goodness! Are you okay, mister?" says a blonde British female road worker. Michael, regaining his composure, now looks up confused. But just as he does, the worker slams a flathead screwdriver right into his windpipe and a fist into his face. As he gasps for air in a state of paralysis, the worker jumps backwards. Seconds before, the bucket of a backhoe digger smashes through the windscreen and decapitates him. When the police arrive to investigate, the road workers tell the police the man jumped the stop paddle and drove straight into the bucket of the yellow digger as it maneuvered. Two terrible accidents, miles apart, both with witnesses confirming their version of events, and nothing suspicious at all. The two teams proving that working together, they get the job done.
Wouldn't the autopsy turn up that he'd had a flathead screwdriver jammed into his windpipe?
I was wondering the same thing.
No, he's been decapitated.
That would get pretty messy.
Yeah. On the exact same spot that the screwdriver went in.
Or below, or above.
It's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess. That's what I'm saying.
Who were the witnesses who saw him, run the stoplight?
Wendy, who's
Bob the Builder.
won jam. Yeah.
Yeah,
The trucks.
right.
And then the other road workers. The industrial machinery hasn't come to life, by the way. They're like a crew that style themselves on Bob the Builder.
I see.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah.
I was just going to say.
They're not imaginary machines, no.
Okay.
I just thought I'd point that out. I never said at any point did any of the machines commit the murder. There was people driving those machines.
This murderous construction crew has styled themselves on Bob the Builder,
Yes.
but they're real humans. They're not
Yes.
made of clay.
Correct.
Okay.
No.
Not voiced by Neil Morrissey.
No. And I never mentioned Bob the Builder. Although I did mention characters.
Is it Neil Morrissey? Is that what he's doing these days?
Not these days. This was about 20 years ago, Bob the Builder.
Don't know what he's doing now.
No, I mean, is he now a murderer for hire?
Oh, I see.
No, it wasn't him. It wasn't him.
What if somebody else saw Wendy jamming a screwdriver into Michael's windpipe?
It was on that really quiet back road that you see him go on the, when he's driving with the bomb in the car.
Yeah.
He's on the
yeah.
back road there. There's nobody else around.
But they just knew he'd be there. So they set up there.
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's fortunate.
How do they explain why they were doing roadworks on a road like that?
They just said they got a permit from the local county office or whatever.
And did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, take that, super dude.
Excuse me, local council office. Can I do some roadworks on this road?
Why, yes, you certainly can.
Well, a plot with no holes whatsoever.
Except for the manhole.
Let's hear next, please, from Ben.
Wacka, 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 wacka. Michael and Arthur stand outside the gates of a U-North production plant. Nobody else seems to be around. Are you sure this is the right place? Baboo, 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 boo, asks Doolally Arthur. Michael pulls a letter from his breast pocket and reads aloud. In light of recent developments concerning the ongoing legal proceedings and the critical nature of the situation at hand, U-North's executive team requests your immediate presence at our Milwaukee production facility. This meeting is of the utmost importance as we aim to address and resolve significant concerns that have arisen. Your expertise and involvement are crucial to ensure a comprehensive and satisfactory resolution for all parties involved. We understand the gravity of the situation and believe that this in-person meeting will facilitate a more effective and timely resolution. Refreshments will be provided. As he finishes reading, Michael licks his lips and then spies Karen Crowder walking toward Arthur and he. She opens the gate and ushers the two men into the facility. "Thank you for coming," she says. "This way, please." She takes them to a plush meeting room. "Help yourself to refreshments," she says. "I'll fetch the team." She then excuses herself and leaves the room. As Michael and Arthur tuck into mini pizzas, an assortment of chicken satay, and all the cherry aid their little pink mouths can accommodate, Karen has located the team. But instead of heading back to the meeting room, they make their way outside to the waiting helicopter. Once the whirlybird is airborne, they hit the detonator, exploding Michael and Arthur into lots of separate bits. Arms bits, legs bits, lungs bits, livers bits, spleens bits, pancreases bits, bones bits, and even arses bits. Also, heads bits, teeth bits, shins bits, tendons bits, kidneys bits, intestines bits, tummies bits, winkies bits, and an assortment of fluids, including, but not limited to, blood, sputum, semen, plasma, sweat, mucus, natural skin oils, and eye juice. Not to mention saliva, pus, more semen, and unprocessed cherry aid.
And poo.
Ah, is that fluid?
Can be.
Yeah, if it's if he's going to have diarrhea from drinking too much cherry juice.
Yeah, all right.
Blood, 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 and bits of sick.
As the flames recede into the distance, Karen begins rehearsing the speech she'll deliver to the press in the morning, lamenting the volatile nature of fertilizer.
So, what's the explanation for why Michael and Arthur were at the factory when this is investigated, their deaths?
They're working for North, so they were there for a meeting.
Who arranged the meeting?
Karen was coming in on the helicopter, but then saw the explosion. It's like, oh, shit.
Oh, she was coming in on the helicopter.
That's what she tells them.
Oh, I see.
But that's not what really happened.
And do you think Arthur would agree to this meeting?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I really do.
Okay.
Kind of my whole plan hinges on it. So, yes. Because did you hear how that letter was worded? It was very corporate, which speaks the kind of language of those folks.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't see anything untoward.
How does this letter reach Arthur? Because he flees, doesn't he? He doesn't stay with Michael even.
It's an
The person he
email.
trusts.
It's an
Oh,
email. And then, but Michael's printed out because he's a good boy.
Right, I see.
And he needed to read it out for the purposes of the...
Even though probably the foot of the email said, do you need to print this email?
Yeah, it definitely did.
Yeah.
All the coolest people print their emails and staple them together and flip through them.
Yeah, it keeps them in a box file in a drawer in a desk.
For GDPR reasons, after I print my emails, I immediately shred them and then later incinerate them.
I think this was 2007 before that kind of language was put on the bottom of an email. Do you need to print it?
No, I know. I'm just thinking about what I do every day. I usually get between 50 and 70 emails a day. It's a lot of paper.
Then you throw the poisonous ashes into the fucking crops that are around your cottage.
Grow delicious tobacco.
I reckon the fertilizer plant exploding might have chucked up some debris and got in the helicopter's shit and caused it to crash.
No, you're wrong.
Nasty.
They press the detonator just the right time. They make sure it's downwind as well. So
how many tons of fertilizer are we talking?
Ooh, how many tons of fertilizer? Well, it's a factory that makes fertilizer, so about 4.
4 tons, is that it?
Well, they've just had a shipment, you say. A shipment.
4 tons of explosive is pretty massive.
You don't know anything about explosives. You've never been in the RAF, so shut up.
I was in the RAF. We used to drop bombs
Oh,
on
were you?
people's heads
Fertilizer bombs.
for a living. Oh, fertilizer explosion in Texas kills more than 500. 1947.
Exactly. This is 2007, so they've mastered the art now.
They're blown to bits.
More bits to the list.
It says people lost their lives and thousands were injured when the ship was literally blown to bits. Ammonium nitrate was used as an explosive. Yeah. Oh.
Also, you North makes fertilizer, so
Ooh.
that's the tie-in there, by the way, just in case you need that flag in.
This article here is devastating to your case. So
Quite damning.
So, for your sake, I'm not going to read it.
Well, I think what you haven't said speaks volumes.
Exactly, yeah. It's more than real evidence could ever say.
Let's hear next from Gareth.
Hey, 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 Douchebags! Mein Name ist Gaz und I'm here mit mein evil scheme. Damn, boy. You're so fine. You're so damn fine. That's right. You heard me. You so damn fine. Mm-hmm. So fine. Yes, sir. F-I-N-E. Fine. Fine. I could eat you all up. The whole damn thing. Cover you in chocolate and eat ya. Cover you in tuna fish and eat ya. Cover you in egg mayonnaise and eat ya. Lick that egg mayo off all over your sexy bod, dude.
Please stop. Please stop.
Take my vote, please. Just stop it.
Ha ha. Fuck you, Michael Clayton. I'ma eat your ass up. Nom nom nom. Now you best not be spilling no damn beans about no damn you-north, you hear? You best not spill no beans, else you get covered. You best not spill no damn beans, else you get covered in beans and ate the F up. Alright? Fine though you may be, I will cover your groin in egg mayonnaise and eat it all up. Prestige. And when I say all, I mean all, okay? Is that a risk worth taking, you think? You think it is? What's the liability on that, I wonder? Huh? Huh? Yeah, you right. You damn fine. Bet you ain't no hot shot lawyer, son. You a pot shot shit hot fly guy for sure. But that ain't enough to save you. Never is, never was. You ready for it?
Could you give us a sentence to sum that up, please?
It's just kind of weirding Michael Clayton out to the extent that he's just backing away slowly with his hands in the air, unsure of what to do.
Who is this fellow that's talking to Michael Clayton? Is this someone we know, or?
Well, my initial thought was that it was Karen, but I think it's actually funnier if that's Don doing that.
Okay.
Maybe that's how Don got to the head of a multinational company. Maybe that's his technique.
Hey, you do what you can, don't you? Go get to the top any way you can.
God damn. Who knew egg mayonnaise could be so funny? I mean, it's flimsy, but delivered with such aplomb.
Yes.
Oh, it's flimsy. Yeah. There's no doubt it's flimsy.
I think we can all agree it's flimsy.
Well, if we're all done cross-examining Gaz, I will bring us home. What would I have done differently, Craig? I mean, Super Dude.
You got yourself a compliment.
Super Dude, you have composed yourself very well, considering.
Thank you.
Michael Clayton isn't the guy you kill. He's the guy you buy. And he is desperate for money. The trick will be getting to him before he has any kind of epiphany. Also, trying to have him killed could backfire if it goes wrong. So, I skip all that and go straight to throwing money at him. Once I've leaned on his boss Marty for some information, I know Clayton wants money to cover a bad investment made with his brother. and I'm more than happy to advance him that with the promise of a whole heap of cherries on top, if he manages to pull off what I'm about to ask. At this point, he's clueless about the lawsuit and too focused on his sudden good fortune to ask too many questions. When he meets Edens and bails him out, his next step is to get him on a flight to Paris, where he'll be living out his twilight years, and where Anna will already be waiting, carrying many baguettes, having been paid a huge sum of money to start a new life for herself. Once he gets there, Arthur is so overwhelmed with joy and so full of baguette, and Anna's newfound happiness so fully represents the victory he strove for, that for the time being at least, his other plans are forgotten. He unpacks his suitcases, which are full of baguettes, thanks Clayton, and bids him farewell. On the plane, Michael chews the ice from his whiskey glass. Something about all this feels off. He knows this is a payoff, that they're trying to keep Arthur quiet. But hell, a few days ago, he was stripping and calling himself the god of death. Maybe he should keep it zipped. The money helps things go down smoother. The whiskey numbs the doubt. By the time Michael gets back home, you Norse have turned over and emptied Arthur's place, emptied all the baguettes right out of there. They've retrieved the files from the copy place. They'll settle the suit, quietly. Maybe someday soon, Arthur will wake up in the night in a cold sweat, and he'll want to tell the world what he knows, but by then, he's discredited, and he has no evidence. And in that moment, when he knows it would be futile to fight, he'll console himself by turning over in his bed, and embracing the many loaves of French bread he sleeps with. Give Arthur what he wants, Anna, and all the French bread he can eat. Best place to go for that? Paris.
There's some bloody good quiche in Paris as well. Bloody good quiche.
Other good foods I've heard.
Mainly quiche. Forgive me. I've only seen this film once, so I may be a little naive, but
I forgive you.
doesn't Arthur say that Anna is pure and they've tried to buy her off, but she has refused everything because she's fighting for the cause?
Yeah, but what they hadn't tried was offering her a chance to relocate to Paris, all the bread she can eat.
Right.
They keep trying to give her a figure, don't they? Is this money enough? Is this money enough? But in the mind of a young woman, from the country no less, money is kind of, wispy. It's ethereal. She's never had money, so she doesn't know, how much milk can $3 million buy. You can't picture it, can you? A lot of milk. But tell her she can live in Paris, where basically she can eat, up to 4-5 French loaves per meal every day if she wants.
Would she go to Paris with a strange old man, though?
She has a connection with him, doesn't she? When he finally speaks to her, it's clear that she has some feeling for him, if it's not exactly what he feels for her.
Basically, it's because he's a crusader for the good cause, isn't he? And then that's what she sees in him, and vice versa. And they're both like kindred spirits. But if you sever that,
well, they become crusaders in Paris for some other cause, probably keeping French bread sales healthy.
Europe famously has the Knights Templar, so they could even become actual crusaders.
Exactly. Would we have seen the rise of Marine Le Pen in France if Arthur and Anna had gone to live in France? Probably not.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm going to throw that out there.
2 birds with 1 stone, really, there.
Exactly. And what do birds like?
seeds.
Seeded baguette. Some truly diabolical schemes there, but who will get the votes? To recap, we had Adam's Bob the Killer scoop fucking dizzy. And then we had Ben's blow them to bits fertilizer fuck. Thirdly, we had Gaz's fine dining, threaten them with a good timing, fucking hell, fuck. And finally, we had my in Paris, pain is bread, you fuck. If we could all now cast our votes. Let's start with Adam. Who did you vote for?
Purely because we're all beside ourselves with glee at the seaside, I voted for Gaz.
Hooray!
Fair enough. And
No, it's
let's
not.
see. Well, we may have had a sneak preview of my next question there, but let's see if that trend continues with Ben.
Does it fuck? Plan had more holes in the sieve. The situation was beyond negotiation, and I thought the only way they could get rid of Arthur and Michael was by killing them. I think Adam had the best plan in that regard.
All right. And what about you, Gaz? Did you continue the trend of voting for you?
Hi, douchebags! Mein Name ist Gaz, und I'm here mit mein Vote, which is also for Adam, because I like Bob Builder stuff. That's why.
Well, you know, Adam, I like your plan too, but if we're talking about holes in plans, I felt yours had a glaring one. It was the manhole. I mean, getting Arthur to walk into that. Should have crushed him with the piano. That would have been better. I would have believed that. And also, I think stabbing Michael in the windpipe with a screwdriver just wasn't necessary. Just skip to decapitating him with the digger. And for that reason, I have also voted for the seaside laughter of G.
Yeah.
2 votes for Gaz.
Which he deserved.
So once again, my plan is the only one that fucking works, right?
You blew up the helicopter as well. It was going down.
Unbelievable.
I didn't buy getting them to that facility in the first place.
It was corporate. That's what the corporates. You don't know the corporate world, mate. You don't know it. You get an email like that. You go, my friend. You go.
You're Arthur Edens and you go, I don't know.
Michael Clayton's taking him there. Anyway, this is. Go back. This is the first episodes of the season. My plans have been the only one that have worked, and you have shat on them every single time.
I voted for you last week.
Yeah. Thank you for that. You did. That was lovely. Let me just remind you, egg mayonnaise. So again, every episode, mine is the only plan that works. Like, actually.
Your legacy is your plan, and your legacy is shit at the minute. All right. So shut your trap. I didn't get any points or Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, but you've just voted for egg mayonnaise, so you've got no credibility.
Anyway, Gaz, you got a couple of votes there. What's that done to the diabolical season 6 leaderboard?
I don't even want to hear it.
He already knows.
In the lead with 7 points is Gaz.
Oh.
Fucking ridiculous.
Joint second place with 5 points apiece are Super Dude and Adam.
Oh,
The fucking
surprising.
co-conspirators. Go on.
We've banded together off screen to agree that we'll help each other get silver.
Bringing up the rear with magic number of 3 is Ben.
I don't even want them. Scrap them. Put me on 0. I'd rather it.
Listen, the way to bring up the rear in this competition is to smear some egg mayonnaise on that rear and eat it the fuck out.
The egg mayonnaise was excellent, but the American pronunciation of tuna fish was even better. It was brilliant. Because if you'd have said tuna, it just wouldn't have worked, but you said tuna. So well done to you, sir.
Thank you. Gratefully received.
Next week, Ben will be hosting.
Well, you'd be lucky.
He hasn't stropped off.
What overrated piece of 80s nostalgia bait will you be trying to fish us in with?
Well, it's been a while since we've watched a film starring Emilio Estevez, so I'm going to make us watch Young Guns. This one's going out to you, Gary Mahoon. Tune in next week. You're going to bloody love it.
And that wraps up this episode like a bushel of baguettes in a brown bag. Thank you for listening. And if you care about anything at all, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell, and leave us a review on the very platform on which you're currently listening. You can follow us on social mediums at DiabolicalPod. Next week, we'll be competing to improve on the diabolical plot of whoever the fuck is the baddie in Young Guns. Until then, remember, the smaller the mess is, the easier it is for me to clean up. Thought that I had thought of a song to sing at the end of this one, but I'll be damned if I can remember what it is now. How about Bob the Builder?
Can we fix it?
Bob the Builder.
Yes, we can.
Can.
Hi, fun boys. Ben here, admit my feelings on the evil scheme.
No, you can't do it.
It's big fun. It's real big fun.
It doesn't work.
Becky asked me what my plan was for this week, and I told her, and just the look on her face. Just, she looked so disappointed in me.
Yeah. I'm how, yeah.
In Dawn of the Dead, I even showed you evidence of the low roof, and
I hadn't
still I
voted
didn't
for
sway
it,
you.
yeah. Well, he swayed me.
Fracking
Swayed
Yeah,
me.
scumbags.
But the guy, the blood pressure guy, could see through one of the skylights. He could see the machine, and he was
How
like,
is he
I'm having
bending light?
that.
How
I
is
am
he
not
bending
waiting."
light?
Because his
There was
blood pressure
loads
is
of
so high
skylights.
that his astigmatism of his eyes.
It's causing him to hyper focus like on one area like that.
Like gravitational lensing.
He's like, guys, my eyes are doing that gravitational lensing thing again. And they're like, I keep telling you, man, your blood pressure's too high. And he's like, I don't believe you. Check again. Check again.
All right, I'll give you that one.
Auf Wiedersehen, douchebags!